My name is Akiko Kato, and I currently study elementary education at the University of Kentucky. And for my English 205 project, I decided to explore upon children in poverty and how it affects education. The reason I decided to do this topic was because I currently volunteer in an elementary school, and I noticed that children who are on free and reduced lunches tend to do more poorly than the wealthier kids. And I just never realized that this was going on in our schools because we would think that since the children are learning the same materials in our classroom, that their learning levels would be the same and they'll be performing the same. But that's actually not the case. So I decided to interview two professionals who are very knowledgeable in this field of education. So I asked them a series of questions that may give us a better understanding of why this phenomenon is occurring and what we can do to change the situation. As a teacher of a public school, what types of socioeconomic differences do you witness?
From year to year, it's typically the same. Their clothes will not be of the same quality. They will not come to school with the needed materials at the beginning of the school year. Their appearance is just a little more run down and noticeable compared to students that are not.
Do these differences in time become obstacles in teaching?
Well, if you look past the materialistic things and just not what you see, you begin to notice that there are trends, that there are correlations between students that aren't performing well in the classroom to students that are in a lower socioeconomic status. So you do tend to see those correlations over time. Typically, their reading skills aren't as strong. Their comprehension, once they've mastered the decoding skills and things like that, their comprehension is lacking. I think some of that is related to life experience, not having the money to go places and see things and experience some, going to the beach and just some of those life background knowledge impedes their comprehension a little bit. You also see that they don't have as much support at home. Education may not be as valued as it is in other homes. Most of those parents from those homes have to work constantly, and they're not home as often, so they don't get as much support on their homework, or they're not read with or read to, and so that tends to impede their progress. So there are obstacles, not always, but some, and you have to just figure out a way to improve that at school while you have them.
Access to information. They don't have, for example, libraries in their home that they can draw upon and constantly undergird their reading initiatives and some of the analytical abilities. Generally, whenever they're lower income, the parents do not have the achievement levels that they could have had because of lack of access to information. We take great claim in this country to say that it's a nation of educational opportunity, but for some that gets kind of interpreted in a different way, particularly when students and families are just trying to feed the children versus trying to do some other things beyond total existence outside the home.
Why do you think students who belong to lower socioeconomic status families and communities tend to do poorly in standardized testing and general academia?
Oh, I think it's because of exposure to information and various experiences. For example, if you look at some standardized tests, you'll have questions that basically require that you have more experiences traveling, experiences with other organizations in the community, experiences that go beyond just the immediate community. And if one does not understand and be able to demonstrate on a test the correct answer according to the general perspective, then they may be lost and not given the kind of credit on an IQ test, standardized test, or their whole interpretation of that response may be very different. So therefore you put yourself behind the 8 ball, and because of lack of experiences, culture, and otherwise, you may not be as adequately informed. And it seems to me it's up to that individual to be able to tease out what that individual is attempting to say from his or her own learning experiences.
What does the school / you as a teacher do to minimize differences of these children in lower socioeconomic classes?
First of all, as a school, I think our Family Resource Center does a wonderful job at trying to give them the materialistic things that they need so that they're not worried about the day-to-day things of food or clothing or where they're sleeping or how they're getting to school. And helping the families and on the home front as much as they can. For me at school, something that I've implemented that I've found really effective and just keeping, a non-issue of where you're from or what your home life is like or anything like that is something called the growth mindset. And really trying to foster this culture in my classroom that everybody's brain can grow, that no one is fixed in how smart they are, that everyone has the capability of meeting challenges, but everybody's challenge may be different. So I try to get across quite early that we may not all be on the same level, but everybody can rise to the challenge that's in front of them. So really talking about that, nothing is easy or hard. Something is either challenging or less challenging. So I think that helps muddle the lines between who has and who are the have-nots. I think it just kind of hopefully puts everybody on a level playing field.
Do you know any programs that assist families and children living in poor neighborhoods to gain necessary education?
I may not be as knowledgeable as I should about letting families know where those services are, but our Family Resource Center does a fantastic job of getting that information to us so we can pass it on. I know that I have filled out several forms for families that are trying to get scholarships for their children to attend summer camps for reading or summer camps for science or things like that. But I know that our Family Resource Center, she works tirelessly to provide as many scholarships to those community programs as possible and getting that information out to our families.
Most communities have neighborhood centers that provide additional instructional services for their well-being. They can go to various churches that offer after-school programs as well as summer programs. The youth serving agencies within the community tend to have programs during the summer, such as the YMCA, the YWCA, Police Athletic League, the boys clubs, girls clubs, the cooperative extension service through the 4-H programs also.
So many of you may be wondering, what can we do to help? You can start by the easiest things like donating books or school supplies. Or you can also go to local schools and see if they need volunteers in their classrooms or their after-school programs. Oftentimes, schools' website would announce if they need volunteers or not, so you can start by checking those as well. Anyone who is in need of this extra academic assistance, you can let them know that there are programs and scholarships that they can become a part of, which community leaders and teachers are very knowledgeable of.